Good evening, everybody. This is the Steps Edit podcast. I am Stephen B. I am the host and the proprietor of Steps Edit. This is my space on the internet, on social media. So excited that you all are joining me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those of you who are watching me on the playback. Thank you for tuning in when you did. I understand Thursdays at 8 o'clock might not necessarily be convenient for everybody, but for those of you who decided to join me live, welcome. And for those of you who are watching me on the playback, welcome. I'm so glad you've taken the moment to join me in this venture. This is the Steps Headed Podcast. I am the host, Stephen B., and I am here to give you my thoughts, my opinions, my views, and just talk about what I want to talk about. Now, I am really excited about tonight's show, but before I get into the show, I want to have a little fun, if that's all right. Do y'all mind if I have a little fun? I'm asking like I can actually see y'all. I see a couple of y'all though. So this week, we had something very intense to happen, specifically in the southern region and in the state of Mississippi. It was solar eclipse. Y'all feel the intensity. How many of you all actually had the opportunity to hang out or do something special for the eclipse on Monday? So, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there was a total eclipse that happened on Monday. In certain parts of the country, they got 100% coverage. Here in Mississippi, I believe we got 94% coverage. And although it started out as a rainy day, it started out as, it was a lot of overcast, but I was actually able to see the eclipse. At my job, we actually had a watch party for we had a watch party for the eclipse, and it was actually pretty cool. We had the chance to go outside. They provided glasses for us, and we were able to go outside and actually look at the eclipse. I was able to get some really good pictures. My plan was to actually have them loaded up, but I didn't get a chance to do that. But it was a really cool experience. It took me back to my elementary school days when we actually like now, they have all of these modern amenities and all these modern technologies where you're able to purchase eclipse glasses and you're able to buy the proper attire or the proper paraphernalia to actually view the eclipse. Well, I remember when I was in elementary school and that was an eclipse, we had to, as a project, we had to make our own eclipse viewing device. And so we had to use a cereal box or a piece of cardboard, a cardboard box, and you had to poke a hole through the box and then you had to do something else, but you would actually look at the eclipse through a pinhole in the box. Oddly enough, I actually remember it working. But now, we have these modern technologies, and we actually had Eclipse glasses that we were able to purchase and put on. And some companies were providing glasses for free, which is pretty cool. Um, so one of the things that I did, because we had a watch party at work, and so what I did was I walked outside and I just looked straight up in the sky. I did. I walked outside and looked straight up in the sky. So one of my coworkers, she said, "Stefan, what you doing?" I said, "Workman's comp. This is a work function. I'm walk outside and I'm gonna be blind and I'm gonna get workman's comp." I wasn't really trying to get workman's comp. It was a cool experience though. Somebody else walked out, they did the same thing, but instead of them trying to get workman's comp, they said they were trying to get disability. So I thought it was something fun. So listen, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do. If any of you are bold enough to do it tonight, the phone lines are open. And so if you want to call in, and I'm gonna call this segment, and this is dangerous. I know this is dangerous, but I'm gonna do it because this is my platform and I can do what I want to do. So I'm gonna give a brief few moments and I'm gonna introduce a segment called Stump Step. That's right. If any one of you are willing to do it, you get to call in and ask me a question that you think I won't answer. That's right. You get to call in and ask me a question that you think I won't answer. So the phone line's open and I'm taking a chance. This is a big risk because I know, I have a couple of people who are watching, and that's the telephone number. You can call in right now. Now, for those of you who know me personally, don't call my personal cell phone because I'm not going to answer it. That's not the Step Said It call in line. Okay. The Step Said It call in line is 769-487-6327. Again, the Step Said It call in line, 769-487-6327. I'm going to leave the lines open. I'm going to continue to talk about the podcast, not the podcast. I'm going to continue to talk about the eclipse, and I'm going to talk about a couple of other random things, but I'm going to give y'all a few minutes. And my heart is beating for real because I'm really afraid some of y'all might call me and try to stump me. But I want to see if this actually does. I'm gonna see if anybody really gonna do it. And so once again, the phone line is open. You can call me. It's rolling across the bottom of the screen, 769-487-6327. So while we're waiting on anybody to call in, now this is only going to apply for those of you who are watching live. If you are watching this on the playback, unfortunately, if you call me, I'm probably not going to answer, depending on what's going on and what time you call. So, and I'm gonna leave the line open all night tonight for the duration of the show, because I do have a letter that I'm gonna read, and you may want to call in and chime in on the letter, or ask questions about the letter, or add your degrees of difficulty, or however that works. And so I'm gonna leave it open. But so I'm gonna tell y'all a joke that my daughter told me yesterday. And it's a joke, but it's really not a joke, but it's a joke. Okay, I'm gonna see how many of y'all gonna get this. All right. And here it is. It don't matter how many blunts the devil smoke, he will never be the most high. I'm gonna say it again for the people in the back. It don't matter how many blunts the devil smoke, he will never be the most high. Now, all the church people, come on, lift your hands and tell him thank you. Because we know who the most high is. All right. So, with that being said, once again, phone lines are open. I do see I have a good friend who has a much broader platform than I do. And so all I'm going to say is if you decide to use that joke, all I ask is that you give my daughter credit and she know who she is. I'm not going to call her out. I'm not going to say who she is. All I'm saying is if you decide to use that joke, all I ask is that you give my daughter credit for it. That's all I'm going to say. Please and thank you. With that being said, we do have a letter on tonight. And I started the show out a little bit more comedic tonight. However, I do have a somewhat of a serious letter that is coming in. And so we're going to talk about this letter. And here we go. Tonight's letter. Dear Steps Edit Podcast, I am a first time listener to your podcast. I'm going to pause right there. Thank you for listening. I hope you are, in fact, listening right now. I was told that your program is not just entertaining, but insightful. I truly hope you can help me. No pressure. I'm writing to you as a parent seeking guidance on a sensitive but important topic. I have a child who is struggling with low self image, and I am reaching out to you in the hopes of gaining some valuable insights on how to help them overcome this challenge. As a parent, it is heart wrenching to witness my child grappling with feelings of inadequacy and low self worth. I see the impact it has on his confidence, relationships, and overall well being, and I am determined to support him in any way I can. I'm going to pause right there. I respect that as a parent. We're going to dig into this really deeply. We're going to unpack some things here, but just on the strength of wanting to provide support, I commend you. Big ups, claps on that. So I would greatly appreciate it if you could share your strategies, tips, and resources for helping a child build a positive self image and boost their self esteem. Whether it's practical techniques, communication methods, recommended reading, or any other form of support, I am eager to learn and implement strategies that could make a meaningful difference in my child's life. Thank you for creating a platform that delivers valuable advice and support to families navigating various parenting challenges. Your dedication to empowering parents and caregivers is truly commendable, and I am hopeful that your guidance will provide much needed support for my child as they navigate their journey towards self acceptance and confidence. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'm grateful for any assistance you can offer. Warm regards, one concerned parent. So first of all, I'm gonna say I'm not sure who told you that this was the podcast for this type of letter, but I appreciate the confidence that you have in me to provide some insight. Um, I am a girl dad. I have 5 daughters. Yes, pray for me. I love all my babies dearly. And I can go into some insight about my own personal journey, but we're not going to dig into that tonight. That may be a conversation for another day. But this is what I want to say. The first thing I want to say is it is very important that you pay attention to all of the signs and symptoms that your child may be exhibiting. Um, don't take anything for granted. Don't take anything lightly. Um, don't don't brush anything off. Don't assume anything, because children today, children today are not like I was or we were. For those of you who are watching who are closer to my age, children today are not like the way we were when we were in our teens and tweens. Children today are a lot more sensitive. Children today, I think part of the reason why children are as sensitive as they are is because they're not getting enough vitamin D, sunshine. They don't play outside like they used to, like we used to. I remember during the summer when we were out of school, and the first thing we would do, we would get up, we would, do our morning chores, or at least act like we were going to do morning chores. And my mama would say, "Get out of my house." And we would go across the street to Watkins School, and we would play basketball from sun up to sundown. Now everybody knew the rule. Everybody knew the rule. I'm gonna put this out here, and I want everybody who knows this answer to put it in the chat. And I'm gonna just if you do it, I'm gonna put it up on the screen. What was the universal curfew when we were growing up? What was the universal curfew? Like everybody knew that you ain't have to worry, you ain't have to think about it, you didn't need a watch, you didn't need any of that. Everybody knew this was the universal time that you had to be home. You better be in this house before the street light come on. That was it. And so, but it one of the things that it taught us as children was it taught us, number one, it taught us resilience. Um, I mean, we played rough, we played hard. Uh, we didn't have video games like our children have today. We didn't have technology like our children have today. We didn't have access to certain vices, and certain things did not have access to us the way it is today. Um, my brother and I, we laugh about this all the time, because children today will never know the struggle of being on the phone, and you trying to get your Mac on, you trying to be all smooth and suave. And so you got Keith Sweat playing in the background, and you got your, yeah, baby, how you doing? Yeah, it was good seeing you at school today. You know, hopefully we can. And then in the middle of you dropping your Mac, then all of a sudden you hear, you got 5 minutes to get off this phone. I'm talking about it, just take all the wind out your Mac right there. Just take all, you know, or you try to figure out little codes, like, when somebody call, and they call, the phone ring one time and then hang up, and then you got to call back, or you call. And my dad was notorious for this, because we had a certain time, and I'm gonna get to the letter, but I'm trying to establish, we got to understand, children today aren't built like we were built. So, we knew that we had to be off the phone by a certain time. And if anybody called my house after a certain time, I would try to break my neck trying to get to the phone before my daddy picked it up. Because if my daddy picked up the phone, this is how he gonna answer it. He gonna answer the phone. If it's after 10 o'clock, he gonna answer the phone. Who died? Because the only reason why anybody would be calling my house at this time is because somebody dead. Hands down, one of the most embarrassing experiences that you could have. But now on the flip side, my parents were very active. They were very present in my life. I understand that the things that we struggle with when I was in high school are not the same struggles that our children struggle with today. And so, what I had to learn as a parent is I cannot dismiss my child's struggles because I don't understand their struggle. A lot of times, I think what we do as parents is we dismiss what our children are going through because it's not what we went through. And so because we didn't go through it, then it's like, oh, you just need to brush it off. Well, the problem is our children don't play outside during the summer for 8 hours a day, so they never learned how to brush it off. They never learned how to brush off people talking about them. They never learned how to brush off people making jokes about them. They never learned how to brush off people joning on them, as we called it. They never learned how to brush it off, and they never learned how to develop comebacks. And so now, if somebody talks about our children, then it affects them differently. And unfortunately, in our society, um, it's all about competition. It's all about I need to wear a certain shoe because everybody is wearing certain shoes. I need to wear certain clothes because everybody is wearing certain clothes. So it's not like I'm trying to be better than anybody. I'm just trying to fit in. And that's not something that as a child, and I'm gonna say me, because I don't know, the people who are on here, I don't know what y'all situation was, but I know for a long time, the craziest thing for me was when I went to school and I was in style by accident because I was wearing faded jeans because not they were in fashion because these were the same jeans that I had last year, but somehow during the summer, stonewashed jeans came in style, and my old jeans look like stonewashed jeans, and so I'm now in fashion, but I'm wearing old jeans. I it was a long time before I wore a pair of name brand shoes. It was a long time before I wore name brand pants. It was a long time because when I would ask my mom and dad, you got Nikes? Can I get some Nikes? They gonna ask, you got Nike money? And so a lot of times, we had to be confident in who we were. And it's unfortunate that our children don't they don't grow they don't have those same muscles. Our children today, they don't have those same muscles unless they just flat out don't care. I have a daughter who she just don't care. She ain't moved by people. She has her own style. She has her own fashion. She has her own vibe, and she lives in it. But I have another daughter who she feeds off of the energy of other people. And so when when life started lifing for our children, they don't know how to process it. And so to the person who wrote the letter, I appreciate you for writing the letter. And y'all, don't leave me out here by myself. Now y'all jump in these comments. I know the past few weeks I had a guest on the show, and y'all probably got used to seeing people. It's back to me now. I don't have a guest this week. So it's me. So y'all talk to me in the comments. Y'all let me know if I'm right, if I'm wrong. If I'm off, the phone line is still open. If you want to call in, chime in, be like, nah, Step, you wrong. That's not how it is. That's not how it went. Okay. But that was my experience. That's the way I had to do life. And so to my caller, I mean, I'm sorry, not my caller, to my, the person who submitted the letter, this is what I'll say to you. The first thing that I'm going to say to you is encourage your child. That's just A1. Encourage your child. When your child does something that is commendable, make a big deal out of it. Now, I'm not in no stretch am I telling you to not reprimand. I'm not telling you not to correct. I'm not telling you not to redirect. What I am telling you is you need to spend as much time, if not more, motivating them in the good things than correcting them in the bad. Sometimes our children feel defeated because we're only providing correction and we're never encouraging them in the things that they did. And so when they get something right, then we don't really praise them the way we could because that's the expectation. That's what you're supposed to do. Your child wake up and they take their plate after they finish eating. They normally leave the plate on the table and you have to fuss at them to come and get the plate. Well, then they take the plate and they put it in the sink and you don't say anything about it. But as much as you fussed about them leaving the plate on the table, praise them for taking the plate to the sink. Okay. The other thing you have to do is find your child's strong points and encourage them there. The attributes that your child have that are beautiful, commend them there. Um, for a child that has a low self-image, help them change the image of themselves, if that makes sense. Um, if you have a child who's always looking at what somebody else has, we don't want to discourage them looking at what other people have, but we also want to encourage them to look at what they have. Um, and we need to get past this space and this place of jealousy. And this is the crazy thing. A lot of the reason why our children have a low self-image is because we as parents have a low self-image. Normally I would put the crickets on. I'm not gonna put the crickets on right here because it's the reality. The reality is I don't know how to deal with my child's self-image because I have a low self-image. And so it's possible that my child picked up a negative self-image of themselves because they saw the negative self-image that I had of myself. Because I'm always complaining about what I don't have. I'm always complaining about what I can't do. I'm always complaining about where I missed it. I'm always complaining. So the first thing I'll say, the third first thing I'll say, because I think that's I already said one and two. So the third first thing that I'll say is encourage yourself and lead by example. Uh-oh. This is good right here. I like this one. I like this one. Kayla said, the mirror is your best friend. Teach your kids to write notes to themselves that are encouraging. While that may be cute, you never know which one will catch your eye when you need it. That's That's good right there. And what I'm gonna add to that is, and the same way you're encouraging your children to write notes to themselves on the mirror, write yourself a note on the mirror, because our children pick up the energy that we put down. And so if I'm not showing them, I can have a positive self-image, but if I don't show my children how to express a positive self-image, but all they hear me do is complain, then that's all they're gonna learn. We need to we need to not just allow society to dictate to our children who they are. Don't let Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, um, all of the other social media platforms that our children are on. Don't let those platforms dictate to our children who they are. I have the power and the authority to speak life into my children. Not just the power and not just the authority, I have the responsibility to speak life into my children. I have the responsibility to speak life into your self worth. I have the responsibility to speak life into your thought processes and your mind. I have the responsibility to recognize the person and the individual that you are. I have to recognize the individual that you are and help point you in that direction. Here we go. I like what you're doing, Kayla. Kayla, we gonna talk. I want you. I don't know. Never mind. You can't be on my show, and it's not. You know why you can't be on my show. We ain't gonna even do that. It ain't got nothing to do with us because we good. But here we go. That actually helped me get my first job. I wrote, "You are a full time TV anchor." You see what happened. Even when it got tough, I saw that in college and pushed through. Thank God. So yeah, that's good. And that's interesting because Steve Harvey tells a story. Steve Harvey tells a story about when he was growing up and his teacher asked them, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And his teacher asked him, "What do you want to be?" He asked the teacher asked class, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And everybody wrote down their responses, and Steve wrote down his response. And so Steve said what his response was, and I'm gonna cut his story down. He said, "I want to be on TV." And so the teacher said to him, "Why would you think you could be on TV?" And he said, "But that's what I want to do. I want to be on TV." And so the teacher thought he was trying to be funny. The teacher thought he was making a mockery of the assignment because everybody else was saying, "I want to be a teacher. I want to be a police officer. I want to be a fireman." And these were all jobs during that time that little black boys and little black girls could have. And so the teacher, made him go home with a note to give to his parents because he didn't take the assignment serious. So he got home, gave the note to his mom. His mom was like, "You know what? I ain't gonna deal with you. I'm gonna leave it to your daddy. I'm gonna let your daddy kill you because I ain't even got time to deal with you." So daddy came home. Steve said he was scared. He was like, "I know my daddy finna kill me." So the dad asked what happened. He said, "What happened at school today?" And he said, "The teacher asked me to write down what I want to be when I grow up." And the dad said, "Well, what did you say?" He said, "I said I want to be on TV." His dad said, "What's wrong with that?" Steve was like, I don't know. I want to be on TV. He said, "Well, do you believe you can be on TV?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Well, what did the teacher want you to say?" He said, "I don't know. Something like a fireman." He said, "Okay, go get a piece of paper." He said, "Take this piece of paper, write, I want to be a fireman, and you turn that in to your dream stealing teacher." He said, "But you take this note that says, I want to be on TV and put that in your sock drawer. And I want you to look at it every day." Now, we all know Steve Harvey is not a fireman. There is power in positive affirmation. And so, to Kayla's point, yes, you need to encourage yourself and point yourself in the direction that you want to go. At the same time, it's my job as a parent to encourage my child. And sometimes encouraging my child means I have to encourage them to change their way of thinking. I have to encourage them to do something a little bit different. I have to encourage them that they are living belief beneath their privilege. I have to encourage them to understand and recognize who they really are. That you are not what social media may call you. You are not what they say on Facebook. You are not what they say on Instagram. You are not what they say on Snapchat. You are not what they say on the news. You are not what they say to you in a negative aspect in the classroom. You're not what they may say about you in a negative aspect in the church. You are not what they may say in a negative aspect about you in the neighborhood. You are not the things that maybe even be in a negative aspect that you would say to yourself, or even on a bad day, I may say to you. This is who you are. You are accomplished. You are brave. You are courageous. You are determined. You are educated. You are faithful. You are great. You are humble. You are ingenious. You are justified. You are a king. You are loyal. You are, I'm forgetting my alphabet, but y'all see where I'm going with this. You see where I'm going. It's positive affirmation. It's positive affirmation. This is good. We need to encourage ourselves daily. This is good. We need to encourage ourselves daily. Okay. There's a song that says sometimes you just got to encourage yourself. Stop counting on other people to be your encouragement. Stop leaving your encouragement. Stop leaving the responsibility for your encouragement in the hands of other people. Look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, self, you are great. Self, you are wonderful. I don't care what they said to you out there. You are amazing. You are the most wonderful person that God ever created. Cat Williams say he lied to himself all the time. He say he'll stand in the mirror and say, "Oh, you having a tall day today." Knowing good and well, Cat Williams is 4'11" and a half with stacks on. But he will tell himself he is 6'10". Here we go. This is my friend from last week. But I'm not on that truth serum tonight, Sonya. But she said positive affirmation, post-it notes all over the bathroom mirror and the headboard. Listen, and I would go so far as to say for those of us who drive, but don't just put it on the dashboard. Don't just put it on the headboard in the mirror. Put it on the dashboard in your car. Put it on your steering wheel, and then leave notes in your children's book bags. Leave notes. Send your children random text messages throughout the day. Send your children encouraging messages, just random throughout the day. Be like, hey, you're a king. Don't live beneath your privilege. You are a queen. Don't take your crown off for anybody. This is the way that we encourage our children. The way we encourage our children is first we lead by example. And then we encourage our children by encouraging our children. Now, this is a big one right here. This is a big one. And I hope the information that I'm giving to the one who wrote the letter, I hope this is helping you. But this is a real big one right here. You also have to understand when your child's situation is bigger than you. Find your child a counselor. Find them somebody who is skilled and educated and can assist you in their mental health, because in a lot of cases when a child is dealing with mental, with low self-esteem and a low self-image, it's a mental health crisis, and we need to recognize and we need to act as such. We need to know when our children are in trouble. There's another podcast that I co-host that talks about mental health and everything with children. And one of the things that is brought out typically in every podcast we talk about, we say when you have a heart issue, you go to a cardiologist. If you have bone issues, you go to orthopedist. If you're having back issues, you go to a chiropractor. If you having, just a regular common cold, you go to a general practitioner. The point that I'm making is anytime you have an ailment, you go to a doctor. When you have a physical ailment, you go to a doctor. When you have a spiritual ailment, you go to the church. But when we have mental ailments, we just sit at home and try to figure it out on our own. No, find a professional that can help you. Watch this. I'm not ashamed to say it. I have a counselor. I sit on a counselor's couch every 2 weeks just to talk it out. Because the same way as adults, we say life be lifing. Guess what? For our children, life be lifing. Here we go. I tough loved my Prince Tyler in the positive confidence. Every day he hears, I love you, my handsome, rich son. You got to call it so you can see it. And then she says, see a therapist or a life coach. And Sonia Valentine Allen is a certified life coach. Shameless plug. I got you, sis. But we've got to know that we've got to be able to help our children. So here we go. Here we go. These are my points. These are my points, and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I'm gonna get on out of here. Um, so again, to my person who wrote the letter, again, first I commend you for reaching out. I'm probably not the best resource. However, I am a resource that can point you to resources that can get you some help. And so, number one, I'm going to say, listen to your child. Listen, but don't listen with judgment. Just listen. Because a lot of times our children don't want to come and talk to us because they don't want to be judged. A lot of times our children don't want to come and confide in us because they feel like they're going to get in trouble. Just listen. Number two, encourage. Encourage them. Even if they're not coming to talk to you, encourage them. Even if they're not confiding in you, encourage them. Tell your children how beautiful they are. Because I promise you, out there, they going to tell them how ugly they are. Tell your children how beautiful they are. Tell your children how wonderful they are. Tell your children how amazing they are. Tell your children how great they are. Tell your children that they are not a sum total of the last mistake they made, but the mistake was simply a bump in the road that is going to propel them into greatness. Tell your children that they are wonderful. The same encouraging words that we like to hear as adults, our children like to hear those same words. When I posted this to get ready for this podcast, I put the question up. I said, tonight we'll talk about self esteem and self worth. Do you value you or do you get that validation from others? I'm going to just tell you, if you can't find value in you, no one else will. I put a post up on Facebook several years ago, and the post said something along the lines of, you have to love yourself first because you have to teach other people how to love you. And if you don't know how to love yourself, you will be a horrible teacher. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. You have to love yourself first. And you have to know how to love yourself. And if you don't know how to, because you are the one who's supposed to teach other people how to love you. And if you don't know how to love yourself, you will be a horrible teacher. And so we have to teach our children how to love themselves. We have to teach our children how to love themselves beyond the mistakes that they made. Here we go. This is good. It says change your child's environment by changing how you feel about yourself. And that's good because if I don't love me, then, or if I treat myself like I don't love me, or if I talk to myself like I don't love me, then that's how my children learn how to feel about themselves. I'm responsible. I am responsible for teaching my children how to love themselves. And so again, the first thing I said was listen to your children, encourage your children, and don't be ashamed and don't be afraid to get your child to a therapist or a counselor or a life coach or, anybody. And when I say this, this is no shade on the church. Hear me when I say this. Your pastor might not be the best resource for your child when it comes to a mental health crisis, unless your pastor is a counselor. And going to seminary don't make you a counselor. The same way as me going to, I don't know, I don't have an analogy. Me standing in a garage don't make me a car. Just because I know how to give, like I have sense enough to know that just because I have a podcast and I have a platform, I'm not the best person to tell you what to do with your child. I am, however, able to point you in the right direction. And I got enough sense enough to do that. Because if I tell you the wrong thing because I'm ill equipped and not qualified to give you the educated answer, then I bear that responsibility. And I don't need no more. I got enough responsibilities. I mm. Now what I can give you is I can't give you my life experience. That I can do. I can give you my life experience. But a lot of times what happens when we start sending our children to the church and we start sending them to the pastor, first thing the pastor's gonna say is, well, come on, let's pray, or I'm praying for you. I'm not saying prayer don't work. I'm not saying don't pray. I'm saying faith without works is dead being alone. Because if somebody in your church having a heart attack, you ain't gonna just go lay hands on their chest and pray for them and be healed in Jesus' name. No, you're gonna get them to the hospital and you're gonna pray while they in surgery. I'm sorry, did I just go Look, this is my podcast. I can say what I want to say. That's why it's called Step Said It. Okay, so listen, get your children, get them some help. If you can't do it, recognize that and get them some help. Please, 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 please get them some help. So listen to your child, encourage your child. If they need some assistance, get them some assistance. And then the other thing is just be present and be active in their lives as much as you can. I know family dynamics are different. Family dynamics are, everybody, like, my children are not custodial. My children don't live with me, but I try to be active. I try to have that communication. I talk to them. And that's what we have to do as parents. I got to be active in your life. And sometimes being active in your life means I'm not going to be your friend. And my children know that. I've never presented myself as my children's friend. I have always presented myself as my children's father, who just happens to be friendly. But I'm going to be your daddy first. So just be there. Be present. One of the greatest things my parents ever did for me was whenever I was doing something in school, as much as they could, they showed up. Listen, I understand life. I understand responsibilities. I understand we got stuff going on. Guess what? Our children did not choose to be here. Don't make your child feel like they are a burden to you, because that will cause them to shut down. Don't make your child feel like they're a burden. Don't make your child feel like they're an inconvenience. Do we have to do things that make us uncomfortable? Absolutely. It's called being an adult, it's called being a parent. But we can't just leave our children out there by themselves. And so just be active in their lives. Love on them, hug on them, kiss on them, play with them. And I know I just went on this whole rant about not being your friend, but I ain't got to be mean. Play with your children. Find a commonality, find a common ground, because when they start dealing with issues of low self-esteem, when they sit in the room by themselves or to themselves, that gives the enemy the opportunity to play with their mind. Nope. Come out of that room, put that cell phone down, put that video game down, and we finna do a puzzle. We finna do a crossword puzzle. We gonna play Scrabble. We gonna thumb wrestle. But we finna do something, and we're gonna do it together. And that's all I got. That's all I got. So this has been the Steps At It podcast. I hope y'all enjoyed the show tonight. I tried to keep it interesting. I tried to keep it engaging. I tried to do something a little bit different. Didn't nobody want to call me and talk to me tonight? That's fine. I'm gonna do it again next week. Somebody gonna call. What I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna start creating I'm gonna find some prizes or something, some little happies that I can give. And if you call in, then you'll get some Steps At It swag. I don't know. But I do want you to please take a moment and visit our website at www.stepsatit.com. There we will keep you up to date on the things that we got going on, everything that's jumping off in the wonderful world of Steps At It. And also, please consider becoming a Steps At It partner. We got 3 levels. Level 1 is $5. Level 2 is $25. Level 3 is $25. You can find all of that information on the website. Additionally, if you would like more details, you can shoot me an email at stepsatit.com. Nope. Stepsatit@gmail.com. Or you can go to the website and just drop me a letter on the contact us section of the website. We'd be more than happy to communicate it for you. Please take a moment and go like, follow, subscribe. We are Steps At It across all social media platforms. We are Steps At It on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, and on Twitter. This has been the Steps At It podcast. I am the host, the proprietor, Stephen B. It has truly been a pleasure hanging out with y'all on tonight. I think I got a little wordy, I got a little long-winded, but I think it was good conversation. For those of you who jumped into the dialogue, thank you so much for engaging with me. Please tell somebody about the show. Please tell somebody about what we got going on. Please, please, please If you like what I'm doing, tell somebody else. If you don't like what I'm doing, don't tell nobody else. Tell me. And if anybody asks you where you get your information from, you know what to tell them. Step said it. We'll see y'all next week. Y'all have a good night.